snap. I think it's another brief moment in time when we get to see the change of the tides. The shifted, twisted bit technology showcasing the little bits of safety, while the quick trips are surely randomly sparking the photons around me. Let the light flow from the heat, yo. When the photons ignite, highlighting, yo, then you know it's that time when we force a change in tides. A little bit lined with something in us. It's almost like we something else, autonomous, or maybe perhaps it's that missing piece you needin'. Perhaps it's that simple message you searching. Perhaps it's just a different time framing us for the next adventure in the mainframe. Getting excited, so are the photons. Don't laminate so we can change the coupon. Let me raise the hash rate, submit the coupon fake, and reduce the rate while we mine our major bags. Crypto technology like cryptographic money will hash in your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter cause it's time for 3D changes perspectives. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is me, 3D, and well, I'm glad to be trying this one more time. But before I actually jump in, do things, and blah blah blah, give me 1 second. Alright, I had to do a mic check. Alright, so I don't have a real good way of doing a mic check live on this show. Because I start talking and I just start talking. I don't really pay attention to things. So. And I have a piece of technology that's supposed to show me how loud I am on your guys' end. We found out from yesterday there's actually something wrong with it. And if it's able to receive any amount of information, it doesn't actually understand the difference between soft and loud. So I have to work on the amplitude systems on that. But hey, we're in today, guys. Okay, is it going to be doing this all day? Hello. Hello, hold on a second. Alright, so basically we are having, my EQ is just flipping freak out right now. It's completely saying I'm clipping all day long. So anyways, let's just get into it. Alright, so you see the episode title, Can Orange Save Bitcoin? The last few episodes, we basically went over the bit 361 and the possibility of quantum resistance within binary machines. Because it's, theoretical, technically still only theoretical. And so then we also reviewed the NIST winning candidates for post-quantum cryptography, or PQC options. And then so today, we're going to put Bitcoin back into that mix of conversations and ask the question, well, can Orange help Bitcoin? And, that sounds a little bit strange, I know, but it's a true question. The last episode, we specifically reviewed some insanely expensive ways to actually attempt to sign PQC on-chain. On-chain BTC. But it takes 10 or more transactions with data stuffing done like crazy to just get somewhere with it. And it's, in my opinion, both versions are not really worth it. So today we're going to ask the harder questions about how or what Orange has to offer Bitcoin. Now, before I go any further, I got partnerships and sponsorships I'd like to thank. Alright, so I want to thank The Organized for teaming up with Bitcoin Live Digital Broadcasting, because Bitcoin Live DB and The Organized is a powerhouse combo. I do see new heights for both organizations. If you haven't checked out any of The Organized various videos and contents on stacks and other topics, then, well, you're missing out, because they seem to be taking off more and more with every day. And you can find them pretty much anywhere you're watching this, on X, Twitter, and all the other social platforms, except for maybe Odyssey. I don't know if they go live there, or if they go there. So go ahead and check them out. We'll actually show you guys more here in a second. Okay, and then we have a sponsor. I want to thank our show sponsor, our title sponsor. So I want to thank Shieldfolio for sponsoring today's episode from within a quantum bit, as well as the Bitcoin Live DB network. Now, if you haven't checked out Shieldfolio, well, they're like a little black book that's made from stone paper. So they're fade resistant, tear resistant, even water resistant. So you know the info and secrets you have in Shieldfolio will last and survive whatever you throw at it. I personally have a Showfolio, and I use it for my website info, contacts, crypto keys. Anything I don't want online or on my computer is in this little tiny little black book. They are pocket sized and ready to be by your size, regardless of your venture in real life or online. And I absolutely do actually use one of these. Love them. So right there on your screen, you see a little QR. You can scan that. You can use your screen reader or AI to go ahead and find out where that's at after the show. And it's just going to tell you the website. It's really nice. You can find them all over the place, including Walmart. But if you're at their website, go ahead and get some stuff. They have a lot of neat options with this stone paper. Use Bitcoin Live 20 at checkout to get 20% off your purchase today. So now, before we go any further, let's roll in with roll-ins so we can roll in. Thank you again, Showfolio, for sponsoring today's episode, and Bitcoin Live Network. So, you'll see on the bottom of your screen, there's a QR, there's a lady freaking out, and it says Bitcoin Live 20. So, at any point in time after today's episode, just come back, scan that little one on the bottom of the screen, and you can go ahead and still take advantage of this offer. So, alright. So, you see, there's a thing on your screen. If you're in the chat somewhere, you can type into it, and it should pop up, except for Odyssey. I think that's the only place I don't have the chat able to come in yet. We'll get that one day, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Well, welcome to the Photon, the Greater Fourth Dimensions Quantum Machine. We are going to get this going. So let me show you how we do this here. So inside of every episode, all right, we have these things called a QR on the top right hand of the screen. That actually shows you where we're located. That allows you to follow us as we go. That also means if it's after the episode, you're checking this as a video, you can follow along, regardless of what happens in the description. Because we were putting all the links in the description, and then it turns out YouTube decided that links are not always allowed in the description, and they randomly take them out or break them. So we use this option to allow you guys to follow along no matter what happens. And this is the organized media. As you can see, it says right there. These are guys that I said they have a lot of content on Stacks and other things like that. Great people. Come check them out. See what they have. Love them. All right. So we're going to go on. We're going to go do the free pre-search query of the day, which is mathematical equations of your orange. That's with smell, color, and texture. Hold on one second. I got to blow my nose. One second. I got to blow my nose. Now that I blew my nose and you guys had a second to read everything on the screen, because, I mean, there's a lot more here for you can actually come check this out later. So let me read what it says. Like always, I did not use this query in today's episode's research, but that doesn't mean we won't have overlapping links. If anything about today's episode actually interests you, use this free pre-search query to go ahead and allow you to jump down your next rabbit hole. This is just for fun, whatever. But this one, it's really just for fun. There's some neat stuff actually in here in this thing. I was looking through it. I was like, wow. Okay, anyways. Back to topic. Back to what we're talking about. Back to where we are. Okay. So previously we've spoken briefly on how special machines, known as quantum machines, are basically needed to get true random quantified samples. So what about when we don't have those special quantum machines? Well, that brings a major issue with getting quantum protection at the binary level. Now, I think in the previous episodes I said there's a chance that some people might have some, and they might have to offer that as a service, which would be very diabolical. But at the same time, it does offer a revenue option for nodes, miners, and other people who want to get involved into the network. So it can have its beneficial update or beneficial upgrades within. But that just basically means that's all for getting a propagated sample. And that's just for the sample to start the process to go ahead and get the keys. Okay? So the ideal is, can we use quantum fruit, orange, to help with this? Okay? Getting a Gaussian sample. This is how orange can help Bitcoin. I'm not sure if that's the right question we should be asking, but it's the question we are asking. And there's only a few ways to really find out. And I think the first thing we really need to ask is, what you mean orange, bro? Right? Okay. So, what I'm actually talking about. So we have this little breakdown. We're going to get into really what is Gaussian sampling, right? So, the importance of Gaussian sampling, I think, will help you understand why and how orange is going to help us out. Okay? And I know it sounds crazy, but you just got to deal with the madness a little bit. So, in here, it just basically says Gaussian sampling, specifically discrete Gaussian sampling over integers or lattices, is a fundamental component in lattice-based post-quantum cryptography, PQC. We're going to call it PQC most of the time today. So, it is essentially for security proofs, correctness, and I like to say it basically gets your start of your seed to be more random. The more random your seed is, the better the seed starts. And of course, if your seed starts well, strong, then you're going to have a stronger output in the end. So it just basically like, if you get a stronger seed, you get a stronger output regardless. So, why do lattices and PQC, like why do they need this, right? So lattice-based cryptography relies on hard problems like learning with errors, ring learning with errors, and short integer solutions, SIS, and other variants. So these problems are believed to be hard, even for like quantum computers. It's very difficult to break down to do these algorithms. So unlike factoring and discrete logs, Shor's algorithm kind of breaks those. These schemas use noise. That's a way of like putting small secret vectors inside of information and then distribute it evenly amongst this stuff, so you can't really tell that there's something there. That's the point of the noise, is to help make the distribution look even, so you can't tell what's there, and allows you to like literally just hide stuff in like the fourth dimension, so to speak. It's not really, but so to speak. So the role and importance of discrete Gaussian sampling, this is the real part, right? It all comes down to, your proof. It creates a stronger proof, and they use systems like here, it talks about they use systems like trapdoor constructions, which just basically allow you to get rid of stuff that's not going to be any good, but this also allows you to have ways to leak some amount of information for proofs to be able to say, okay, look, this is, verifiable in some way, in a manner that works across the entire field, not just one time. Alright, so this enables provability, secure signatures, identity-based encryption, hierarchical identity-based encryption, and attribute-based encryption. Now, identity-based encryption, hierarchical identity-based encryption, and attribute-based encryption are basically three very important things that allow you to have like something similar to like a ring signature system within the cryptography. So anyone who doesn't know what a ring signature system is, it's basically like how your computer is secured nowadays. It's how do we allow some amount of information to go through certain barriers, but not all the barriers, right? And then by having an identity and a hierarchical, this allows us to be able to separate roles into various different form factors that allows us to have basically smart data allowance within the cryptography. Now, I've been talking about smart data since SPX when that came out like 2 years ago, and I think I got it to 70% accuracy last year, or the year, yeah, like looking last year. And so now, like, we've been dealing with smart data in real life for quite some time, and I think a few episodes we went over how a lot of this stuff that here started in like 2022. They started really looking into this type of stuff, which using this identity based encryption, I think that's the whole reason why a lot of people like this quantum stuff, because it allows you to be able to stuff like TRM inside the cryptography. It allows the actual keys to make decisions based on what's been placed inside of it. And they're done in a manner where we can't actually see it's not or is, or that it is or is not happening. It just can't be seen. And like you see here, there's even a random oracle model. And if you're with cryptography or Bitcoin, something like that, then you already know oracles are very important. And having a random oracle allows you to randomly pick stuff from within. That's even more important. That allows you to build like verifiable proofs without being directly telling you something. Okay. Basically, with this correctness, with this noise, this allows us to correct on the fly and things like that. It basically, unpredictable signatures that verify correctly. That's kind of the point here. It's like the signatures don't always seem right, or they don't seem like they're going to look right, or they don't seem like they're going to work right, but then they just verify. And that's kind of the whole point of PQC, is like the ideal is it don't matter what it looks like, it don't matter what it seems, it don't matter, as long as it verifies. As long as the verify works, then the system works. And a way I like to describe this is it's like hiding a secret inside of something, right? Like we said earlier, it's kind of like hiding within that fourth dimension. hiding in plain sight right in between the things so you can't see it, but it's there. Well, this is doing it to a degree that I think was predicted in like the 30s. So, this uses standard deviations and things to go ahead and get these different things. But basically, for every efficiency factor, there's some kind of trade-off somewhere. And for the longest time, the sampling is this bottleneck that basically denies most people the ability to even harness the power of quantum keys. It's kind of creepy because, like, we went over all these NIST things, and some of them can work on Raspberry Pi computers. So it's kind of creepy to know that, oh, well, the cryptography works, but, you know, to get a proper whatever, that's the most difficult part because of the situation we're stuck in. So these are independent from the lattice. The Gaussian samples are independent from the lattice. They can be optimally concentrated, and they are alternatives, like central binominal distributions, also known as CBD. Okay, and we'll talk about those specifically. We're going to talk specifically about like discrete Gaussian sampling and CBD. Those are going to be two very specific ones we're going to talk about. Okay, so these have their challenges, right? We already kind of talked about some of them. The sampling really is an issue, right? But also how you handle all that data from the sampling. Then we have side channel timing attacks that are very bad. We talked about how constraint time has been completely broken. So now there is this issue where the main way that everyone tends to want to build their sampling and stuff, well, it's broken. There's a way to actually attack that and then remove the entropy and the randomization basically completely, but it still looks like it's there. It's kind of creepy. Alright, but then there's a precision issue where actually getting precision can be really difficult sometimes, and it can, you know, having optimizations here can be really devastating to your security, but it could also mean, it could be the difference between being able to produce the key and not being able to produce the key. So it is computationally intensive to a degree. Just picking up the samples, okay? Like, I think picking the samples is actually more difficult or more computational intensive than actually doing the cryptography that these PQCs do. So in summary, it's a type of noise generator. It's a powerful cryptographic tool that bridges hard lattice problems to practical, provable scheme or secure schemes. Without it or equivalents, many elegant lattice constructions just wouldn't hold their weight. They basically would fall apart. All NIST PQC standards evolved with lattice-based algorithms like, I know what it's called. Kubernetes. The one they use on that Kubernetes is Linux one. Kyber. So like Kyber and Stellium. So efficient and secure Gaussian or substitutes for sampling remains like an active research. So this is a generic picture. So we got better pictures. I'm going to give you better pictures. Let me get that QR. That's the importance, okay, of the sampling, okay? So the sampling has this like super deep importance just because it creates this starting seed that's like just insanely good, and based on how you get that, it can already be compromised at the time you create it. It's very difficult, okay? So here's a GitHub for a thesis on the orange quantum state, which is the omega R angle, okay? So it basically uses entanglement entropy with some kind of like, tree fruit is just the way to explain it, but it's technically a type of hypertree hybrid architecture that uses seeding and branch systems that aren't very common. Okay, so then it's using solar-driven binary quantum mechanics that technically doesn't actually exist, but I have a program to run. We'll get into that later too, for technically true randomness with secure key generation. All right. So before I go any further, let me give you a quick brief. I'm talking about using solar panels to detect where the solar panels are actually being used by the sun, and to what degree of intensity and radius to be able to get an image pattern, so to speak, based on values to then layer these over themselves over a period of time to be able to create insanely dense pictographs based on values that we can then grab the voids from to then use those voids as a random calculator. Basically, those voids are more random now than anything else. But at the same time, we can actually use the individual hits from the solar rays that is causing the solar panel to work in the manner I'm talking about. So we have, basically, we put chips, we put sensors in the solar panels to detect when and where things are happening at, to then run a program I've invented in C. Like, I actually wrote something in C again. Me, man. But we basically then run it through a chip to just basically output automatically PQC wallets. Like, so basically, if you have any kind of mining system, you have any kind of, solar panels, there's a chance that that solar panel is actually the world's best and most accurate, most unique quantifiable true randomness generator based on the hits from the solar sun, because two solar panels side by side will have differentiating hit patterns, which creates true randomness that we can't actually recreate. Now, I try to recreate it with a program. I'm going to show you a program where I attempt to simulate this, and I'm going to show you why it's so important. But let's get into the actual thesis of the stupid thing that we're going to talk about, which actually, when we get into the math of it, it's kind of neat, okay? So we're talking about orange fruit, originally named round fruit, linguistically collapsed into existence by a painter's accidental naming, entangling the color of the fruit in the language into one measurement-like act. This thesis fully integrates the complete quantum fruit framework, historical accidents, the quantum optics of the Carodites. I'm going to say a lot of these words wrong, by the way. Alright, so the olfactory coherence of the lemon, the tactile duality, and the rigorous derivated multiplied entangled state known as the omega R angle. So basically, what we're saying is the omega R angle, right? So every time we do anything with PQC, you're going to have some kind of R angle, you're going to have some kind of radius angle and things like that. So basically, we're taking what we would normally call like an 8-graph layer system that we normally call, okay, this is how we can define three-dimensional space, or whatever. Like, the orange takes that and puts it into a cylinder, and then it's like a non-Euclidean cylinder, so the inside and outside is all inside of itself, and so it makes it kind of odd. This gives us an unusual form factor within our R angle, so the orange omega R angle is unusually different compared to others, and we're going to use unique math and considering the state of orange to allow this to happen. So, it's a naturally occurring binary quantum state whose two dominant branches encode a robust qubit-like structure stabilized by solar-driven physics. And I am basically saying a solar panel has the ability to create faux qubits using topological faux qubit technology ideologies through the concept of where things are being hit in order to create binary quantum states, okay, that are naturally occurring. That's basically all that means. So a new hybrid architecture that introduces a central main branch tree, which has the high-capacity binary quantum processor. So basically what this really means is you have a main system that does the main work, okay? So if you remember like hive mind and those kinds of forms of Monero mining, those things that I loved, this takes that ideal and reuses it. This allows you to have like a miner be able to stop mining for a second, do some computational processing to go ahead and offload you the fruits of its labor back to you, okay? Now this allows you to have nodes that are like distributed peripheral orange fruits that can work with this data, okay? This now means that when an orange absorbs the larger seed state from the tree, this natural collapse occurs. So basically, the phone can't handle all the data, so in the output, it collapses into basically like a variable that we can then use, right? So which is then rooted into a dedicated orange quantum state observation machine, your node. Which your node, in this case, is going to be like hand-given this information. It's going to be like someone came up to you and was like, read this, and then forced you to read it. Okay, that's how they're observing it. But it's viewing, it's reviewing, and attempting to have the ability to collapse a new product. So it can basically say, well, let me try that again, and just reload that thing. And because when it reloads, it's going to collapse to a new number. So it's a new product. So it is based on the original, which creates new higher points of entropy. So then reseeding this back into the branch, even if it's a new collapse, especially if it's a new collapse, will actually create a higher amount of entropy within that branch. And it will allow the branch to use that data without knowing it and basically form stronger, more entropied hashes in the future or collapses in the future. It basically create, you can't go, it prevents the ability to go backwards. Okay? It prevents the ability to go backwards. In quantum technologies and all this other stuff, like, you're like, oh yeah, bro, time travel ain't real, blah, blah, blah. But cryptographically, time travel is real. Okay? In cryptography, I can time travel all day. I ain't actually going anywhere. I ain't moving in space. I'm only moving in cryptic time. So that's that constraint time stuff, right? So this prevents the ability to go backwards. This prevents the ability for a backtrack or a back constraint time attack, which is the number one way to break constraint time right now is by using full random key mapping pushed through the system and then reviewed and compared to the original to simply determine what the constraint time coherence actually is. And now from that point on, you can hand adjust it on your own end to get a guaranteed output. We've already talked about this in the previous episode. Okay? So this prevents that. So basically, every time you add into the system, it actually forces the system to learn. So it quantifies the information sharing capacity of the network. So every time everyone says, oh, Bitcoin has a sharing capacity, okay, imagine this. Okay, you have some Bitcoins that have small blocks, some Bitcoins that have medium blocks, some Bitcoins that have large blocks. That means that if you was to upgrade all three of these motherfuckers to use orange quantum states, okay, then basically the one with the higher block allowance has this higher allowance for sharing information, which would allow you to quantify that into a manner that could actually assist the value of that currency. I'm not saying it will, I'm saying it could. Okay? So, crucially, the solar mechanics inherent to the orange, the photon absorption itself, the molecular fluctuations, the environmental quantum noise that it creates, supplies this true quantum randomness that controversial binary quantum machines actually lack. This enables high-rate quantum random number generations for secure cryptographic keys. Closing the fundamental gap is isolated the gate model systems. The novel orange thus becomes the first edible sun-grown distributed quantum ancilia, a microscopic bioavailable template that retroactively redefines its own category while offering practical sunlight-powered assistance to binary quantum machines. Yes, I actually had to look up some of those words to put them in. I didn't know what these... I'd never heard of this before I used it. And it's like, okay, so we're actually talking about using photon-denied quantum state machines. So there's all these different kinds of quantum state machines, and one of the type of quantum state machines is a trapped photon or something like that. And I might be saying it wrong, it might be trapped proton or whatever, but it's a trapped thing. And I'm talking about we're doing denied. We're denying these things. The solar panel bounces or absorbs it or whatever. Is basically doing the opposite. Okay? So this is just a very artistic way to look at cryptography for quantum stuff. Okay, so QPC is just a really artistic way to look at QQC and saying, hey, we already have these things. We can just kind of upgrade these things. And then from that point on, we can do these things on our own in a manner that is really kind of nice. Now, I'm not going to go through all the parts, but we're going to, basically I'm saying it's like Rosetta Stone. And the whole point of this, basically there was a painter who he was somewhere else, not where he was from, and he discovered this fruit who happened to have orange on it. And this painter is known for creating the color orange, and where he comes from, they didn't have the orange, and he created this orange by blending colors, and they were like, oh, and he named it orange. So he goes to this other place, and he sees a fruit with that color, and he's like, holy crap, That's that's orange. He's just saying the color is orange, right? But people around him hear it and think, oh, that's the name of round fruit. That round fruit is actually called orange. We've been saying it. We've been wrong. And they just accidentally renamed the fruit orange. Okay? So this accidental thing, like if like Jewish magic believes that words are really good magic, because if something is like just randomly said and it is true, becomes true like instantly, like it just magically happens like that. Like they consider that to be like a instantly gratified, self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, so orange is some form of prophecy that immediately satisfied in the world, and it just immediately became self-fulfilling. So this historical collapse mirrors quantum measurement. So observation forces a superposition of an unnamed wavelengths into named reality. The original orange, by virtue of this quantum uniqueness, now must be now actually distinguished as the novel orange. Actually, they changed the name of that orange because it's so fucking specific. It gets to a point where I even point in here that there's a small amount of change that you can get that actually changes this quantum fruit. Okay, so orange is technically a quantum fruit because its color, scent, texture, and solar kinship. Well, basically the way it looks like the sun, right? Like you can put a banana in the sun, and ain't no one going to think that's the sun. You can put carrots in the sun, it's orange. Ain't no one going to think that's the sun. You put a orange in the sun, everyone's like, that's the sun. You don't even have to speak the same language, and you know that's the sun. You know people are saying, yeah, that's the sun. Yeah, I get it. Because it looks like it. Okay? It's a self-reinforcing loop of complexities that are so improbable that the functions are a standalone argument for ordered emergence accessible even to the faithless. It basically says, even if you don't believe in God or anything like that, this is that one thing that when you say, well, how do you know there's some kind of anything more than yourself? This is that thing. Orange. Orange is the only thing on earth that, like, all of the things of its sooth happen simultaneously, instantly, at the same time. And sooth, it's not short for soothing. Sooth is actually a type of truth that anyone can observe on their own. Anyone can experience it on their own. A soothsayer is only speaking the truth. It's actually truth beyond truth. It's the original word before truth. Okay, sooth was truth before truth existed. Truth is actually an agreement, while sooth is something that you just observe, see, experience. So ancient cultures instituted this solar kinship, right? Citrus linked to the sun deities in Hindu and Mauritian rites. The orange internal structure, or the path of the aldo. I can't even say that word. Aldeodo. I don't know. Vascular, the capilloids, quantum efficiency. So the forms to it basically like closed loop, convenient with the solar radiation. The photons are absorbed. They're transduced into chemical energy, and that's the whole reason why, like, I say the solar panel thing, and I went to orange, because both the solar panels are absorbing these photons, or denying some, absorbing others. The orange does the exact same thing. And then basically re-emits others, which that re-emission we see as the color, scent, and sugars that we then call orange. This divine signature, basically, even for atheists, is basically this like blind evolution of an algorithm with solar input, which produces a single point of existence, right? It's non-replicable complexity. Basically, you can't create the actual true color and flavor of orange without orange, right? Well, maybe not the color. You can't produce the true flavor of orange without orange. You can't produce the true scent of orange without orange. And you can't actually produce orange sugars without orange. Which orange sugars are the most common types of sugars used for sugar scrub. So basically, just deviating slightly from any of these masks that we have in here will change the color, scent, flavor, or even any part of the orange. It will change it. So there is an actual mathematical determination that we can say creates the shape of an orange, but not just the shape. It's actually the pattern on the orange, like the one you feel with your hand, and the color. Like there's a way to do both of those at the same time. And then, so like an orange is literally wearing the sun spectrum as armor. I love that, right? So the olfactory quantum, so like the scent, and smell, and taste, it's very specific. super specific, right? And then the way it feels, the roughness, we can even determine the pits on the orange. And believe it or not, the orange is actually designed that when your skin is wet and you get those wrinkles on your skin, that's a type of grip. Well, orange, because it has this rough but smooth texture, that rough but smooth texture is actually designed to work with wet skin. So all fruits that have this pit skin that when you touch it, it feels rough, but yet it seems smooth or looks smooth, or you remember it one way, but then you draw it another way. All of those are designed to be held in or under water. Kind of creepy, okay? It actually creates a paradoxical increasing the grip friction, right? So it's a Bayesian interface maintaining a dual state until the hand measurement collapse. So basically, we consider it either smooth or rough, and then we touch it, and it's the opposite to us. All right, so this is a smooth, rough paradox weaponized into light. So the orange the sun's fruit is a self-replicating solar code. These properties converge to a point where even a 5% degree change is no longer orange. It dissolves itself. Like, for example, mandarin oranges don't always taste like orange, right? They look like it, they seem like it, they don't quite smell like it, they don't quite taste like it. Okay? A blood orange don't quite look like it. It kind of seems like it from the outside, but on the inside, it don't really taste like it. It's just slightly deviated. Okay? So then we are actually able to consider the quantum state between, like, basically two simple sets. I say simple, but they're really not simple. And this is the entangled one right here. So they're basically the same. Okay? So then we can go down for, it's more math, more stuff. So basically we have the main branch, we have the fruit devices. So then we have a way to state, share, and offload hashes, basically, and data from hashes. And yes, we do have a way to do that. Absorption of bigger seeds, and then a formal observation system. So a formal way to look at it. So, one second, I gotta blow my nose again. My apologies. Alright. So, basically what I'm saying is, as these photons are hitting the solar panels, they create, like it says here, there's thermomolecular fluctuation, so we can see the change in the temperature right in that spot. We can see for how long that whatever was being affected, and this can allow us to gain information that we can use to create these little map things that we can then use that to determine different things, and we'll have a program to show you what that should look like. So basically I'm saying orange is nature's first distributed qubits. Alright? And again, we're talking about topological faux qubits. We're talking about fake qubits that do not actually exist, that we're using topological type qubit theory to consider the ideal of being possible to create at least keys, cryptography keys. That's a lot of words, right? A lot of words. Well, anyways, let me take a sip of my coffee. Number. Anyways, the sample method and technique is the root of cryptography. It's like your starter seed. The more random it is, the better. Your cryptographic, there it is. Your cryptographic start will be. Okay, so like, what does this really look like? That's what I kept thinking. What does a Gaussian symbol actually look like, though? It's like, okay, what is it? Okay, I can't see it. I can't visualize it. What does it look like? Right? What is this thing that people are pulling from that is so unique that it creates randomness? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I kept thinking. So I wanted to find a way to show you this. And then I wanted to show a difference between like Gaussian blur and Gaussian sampling. But I also wanted to explore like that power of orange. Like, can we simulate these hits on the solar panel? But I wanted to go a little bit further. I wanted to simulate this hits on the solar panel that I'll, because I'm artistic, I wanted to make it look like the fruit. That's it. Okay. Okay. So, before we get into that, I do want to kind of show you a difference of stuff, right? Um, okay, so this is what the blue one is discrete Gaussian sampling, and the orange to red one, or basically orange, is a CBD. It's a central binomial discrete sampling. So we can see the orange one is twice as wide as the blue one. So that's kind of the point here. See, the blue one's really smooth and really dense and compact. And when we pull from here, there's a chance other numbers are going to be right around that area. So it creates this randomness that once we know one piece of it, it's less random. It's like very much less random. And we can start to then pull information out of it, like, okay, where are my other seeds and all this other stuff. And then the other one, you have more room to breathe, so to speak. You also have more room for error. And that's the other thing. The more room you have, the more error you have. And, or error possibility, really. And so, I'm about to take that width and just make it extremely large. Extremely large. So here's another way to look at it. Okay? We got the blue, which is your Gaussian sampling, right? We got the orange, which is TBD. Then we got this mess. This is a simulation of what those hits would look like on your solar panel. Alright? And when you go through these simulations and stuff, like I don't have an actual solar panel in my house to test this. Basically, there is a heat map on your solar panel. Now, the heat map thing I've seen before, and basically throughout the day, some parts of your solar panel get more activity than other parts. So this map shows that activity layered on top of itself, and it kind of shows, hey, look, the center area of the solar panel probably gets the most, because that's where that's the highest point of the day. It's where we're getting most direct rays and all this other stuff. It's got the most intense hits with the most exchange from temperature and things like that. And it's like, oh, okay, so we're really able to. And if we take a sample from that center, well, guess what? That's going to be very similar to taking a sample from the center of somewhere between these two things. So it's somewhere in the middle of these two. It's not quite as wide as the CBD, but it's not as neatly packed, narrow as the discrete Gaussian sampling. So then we have this one. This is just a deterministic way of doing a sample. Alright, so remember I said it's like putting stuff in little pockets, blah, blah, blah. This is another way to look at it. Now, we're going to actually look at what these actually all are. Because I'm pretty sure you can guess. Traditional discrete Gaussian sampling. Standard binomial gas. Alright, here's Fruit Mapper G2 Gaussian entropy with raw bitmap. Okay, and here is the Fruit Mapper plus SPX QEC structured pattern. So this is the SPX QEC pattern system for cutting out low entropy. And this one here is an example of where most likely the lowest entropy points are going to be cut out from. Okay, and believe it or not, this block right here, this little black box, there's a little black box in the middle. That's right to the right. Might be the left on your side. I don't know what it looks like on your end. Right on one side of the greater than value in the white box. That's actually the most, that's the best spot to pull from. It really is. So, okay. We're going to keep going. So this is about one of the programs. So this is about the program that we get these samples from. And this is specifically the artistic version one that I made. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this. So basically, this is a interactive Python sequencer application that allows you to stack realistic multi-fruit skins on top of each other, get a really dense pattern, mathematically rich patterns to show you what this stuff looks like, blah, 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 but you can actually produce keys with it. Now, I have a note here. Important notes. These do not produce secure keys. These do produce keys. They're not secure keys. Okay? This is a way to look at how a system generates keys. Now, these keys are templates. They're not real actual keys. Now, they should verify, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay? This is for to help it understand. Okay? This is more for an understanding of things. This is not for really producing real things. I use AI to build these readmes. I don't actually write the readme. AI does the readme. So the AI is just looking at the program and saying, oh, based on this is what I see. So we're going to run the program. Okay, it would help if I had the right thing on the right one. Okay, there it is. Now I got the right one. Haha. Alright. There we go. So there's the program. Alright. If we push this button, it just uses the math that we saw in that thesis to do this. And then we can adjust the math to create other fruits. And all of these fruits have that rough but smooth texture thing. It's one of those things. So this kind of shows you what's really going on in the background. Kind of gives you an idea of what's going on, okay? Oh, wait. Yeah, we can even create our own. So, like, you can kind of play with how all this works. And then we can pick a color. Okay. Oop. There we go. But, like, I have a program running that tries to stay on top of other programs. And so, I'm just trying to, like, keep everything above it. So, we can hit a button and generate these keys for us. We don't have to, mess with it. We can change the size of everything. All right. So we're gonna clear everything out. We're gonna set the opacity, and we're gonna make it a secure layer, and we're gonna hit some buttons. Right. So obviously this is doing stuff, right? Okay. So G1 and G2 are Gaussian samples. So one of them shows you. So G1 is a Gaussian blur, and G2 is an actual, like, crypto sampling. Okay? Let me see here. Okay. Use that. Use that. So I have a bunch of these little, just popping them up. We're gonna okay. So this is, clear this out. So this is what Gaussian blur, how it works. See how it kind of affects a major section and the others kind of get less? This is how Gaussian sampling works. It's more of an even distribution of pulls. Very nice. And it very quickly creates a more dense pattern. Okay? So if I hit this button called key, it's going to generate keys. Using quantum fruit mathematics only. It is, and basically that's that whole process I explained with the solar panel, where you build over the maps over it, and you look for the voids, and use those voids positions to mathematically make that variables to then turn into binary, to then use that binary to scramble to create keys and do what you need to. It's creating that seed. There we go. There it is. We now have a seed done. Okay? Now, I have a way of opening these. See if it'll work. Hold on, I use Kate. It doesn't always like to run a new instance for me. So let's see if we can get it to open up. No, it's not going to open it. I see you guys can see what I'm talking about, so I'm just going to move it into the screen. You guys won't see my notes, but so you can see these are keys. Okay? They're not very strong, they're not very good. They're legit. Even shows you how everything is made. So okay. There's even a base 58 signature proof of these keys. Nice. Now I'm going to put my script back where it was. It's not actually scripted. I don't have scripts. I just have notes. All right. So that's the kind of keys it created. So you see the math stuff. They do something. The output does do something. The result just isn't very good. It could be way better. And, well, you know me. Of course I made one that's even better. All right. So that's next. Let me give you the link. Yeah, there you go. So now we have this one. So this is Tyranny or Trinary, PQC, keychain generator, and validator. So this is free and fast, available. So basically, because the current state that orange sampling by bitmapping is not secure, I went through the actual madness to generate my own sampling system completely from scratch, but still using the same basic concept from the orange sampling, just different maths. Alright? So, using my own sampling system, which I use my favorite system, epochs, to actually invent a random epoch sampling method for decoupling from the real epoch, using a methodology for creating cryptographic keys, using only on binary hardware with as little as 2 gigabytes of RAM. Yes, I'm looking at possibly on Raspberry Pi 3, you might actually be able to run this stuff and create cryptographic keys. Okay, Raspberry Pi 3, probably the fourth most common Bitcoin node for all Bitcoiners that I know of. And I say all Bitcoiners I know of, I mean all kinds of Bitcoiners. Even Bitcoin dark people use it. Alright? So, this is what we're going to talk about. Okay? Basically, this creates complete post-quantum cryptographic keychains. Okay? This is a generator and validator. So it validates every key before it gives it to you. And then there's another validator system in here that uses NIST, whatever, validation, whatever, basically the NIST standard, to validate that it's proper. Okay? So it generates Falcon 512 and Ethereum 3 master and roll keys for a high entropy 6,000 trit. Now, if you don't know what a trit is, that's a trinary bit. Okay, that's a 3-point bit system. Okay, instead of bits are 2, trits are 3. So it's a 6,000 trit trinary seed. So the reason why I went with trinary, I love trinary. It's one of my favorite forms of programming. I want to get a trinary machine. I would love to get a trinary machine. I'd probably do stupid stuff because of it, but I love trinary. It's one of my favorite forms. Okay. Now, a trinary seed has a much higher entropy value than a binary seed. So getting a trinary seed allows you to have a higher entropy start. Higher entropy means that the randomness is more random. Okay, so this lets you actually cryptographically validate every key before use. The system we have set up. Okay, this is post-quantum secure algorithms. Yes, it does not use sinks yet. I worked really hard, and I put a lot of effort in this. And I want Sphinx. I love Sphinx. Sphinx and Falcon are probably the best PQCs we have available to us. Besides, maybe if SPX worked fully, SPX would be just as good, I think, as Sphinx. SPX and Sphinx are very similar in how they build up their algorithms and their hashes. Okay? And I want Sphinx. I think that if you have a Sphinx signature with a set of roles that are basically like your ring 0 roles, they allow you to do like your actual transfer of wealth, your actual this, your actual that, and then you wrap those role signatures inside of a Falcon with different sets of roles, right? Then you can actually create this dualistic property where there's an automatic public signature of Falcon and a private signature of Sphinx. Alright, so in this same concept, we're using Ethereum 3 instead of Sphinx. I'm not happy about it. I want to use Ethereum 3 in a different way. But when I get Sphinx finally working, we'll get that in. But my point is, some of these things are not easy to do. I'm a person that loves cryptography. Like, if we go into my GitHub, I do nothing but find new ways to encrypt, encode, and just hide crap in the numbers. It's one of my favorite pastime hobbies. I have books upon books of just me writing ways to hide numbers. Love it. Okay? My favorite thing to do. I want to get a tattoo of the actual original private paper key set on my arm because it's the only way to do local. It will always do local. It is the only way to do private paper local. And so basically, there's a way to do local opening of these crypto keys, but getting these keys were some of the harder bits to do. And Sphinx, for some reason, I haven't been able to get fully secured and fully verified. I could get it, but I couldn't get secure. I could get it, I couldn't get it verified. It's like I couldn't get both at the same time. I could get one, but I couldn't get the other. So, the other thing I'm going to point out, this gives you private and public keys. There's a ton of systems out there that say, oh, post-quantum cryptography right here, blah, 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 you can really side with it. No private signatures. Sure, there's a lot we can do with PQC, just like we can do like on Bitcoin stuff without any private signatures. There's a lot you can do. Public extended is a very neat process for a reason, okay? There's no public extended on PQC. I want to create that with Dithylium 3 by using a Dithylium 3 verified proof inside of a Falcon 12 beside a Sphinx. And then if I need to put more Dithylium 3 inside Sphinx for additional types of proofs within that layer, I would then create a layer 0, a layer 1, a layer 3. So that way I can have a verifiable layer, a public layer after that, and a private layer after that. So that way I can create this way that I can create communication tools where you could basically put an entire operating system inside of a subset key signature of a PQC wrapped signature that would allow you to do something like completely control a computer. 100%. All of the stuff on there, you would be able to sign in up to 24 different ways in order to take care of what you need to take care of, and it could be dropped down to simply 3 forms of signing. 24 signatures can be dropped down to 3 different ways to do this, to where we could just sign something that doesn't even sign the thing we want to sign. We sign something that the other person can determine from that what should be there based on the ways they can get into the compound that we've built of signatures. So that way, by the time they get to where they're allowed to be, because the signature will tell them where they're allowed to go, they can determine what the actual key they're looking for is and never need to actually even bother breaking the signatures. Like, they won't need to go further because they'll get what they need. They'll be able to determine it. It's insane, right? It's probabilistic, deterministic encryption. And, like, this is QQC is going to get us there. Because of that integrated that triple integrated system where they have the IBE and then the hierarchical IBE and then the actual other thing. So this allows us to do some pretty neat stuff. So this uses trinary PQC seed expansion that gets us to 6,000 cryptographically secure seeds, which then we use patterns to always cut out the low entropy, so we ensure there is absolutely no low entropy at all in our seeds. That's something that I have been noticing for years. For years, I've been pointing out the fact that low entropy inside your cryptography can break cryptography no matter how good your cryptography is, because that low entropy is the breaking point. SPX QEC, okay, so superposition text with quantum entanglement compression it creates patterns from binary basic systems that is deterministic. And because of that, it knows what all the lowest entropy seeds are, because these are the lowest entropy seeds. Like, we're basically dynamically on the fly generating the lowest entropy seeds and going, do we see it? If we see it, get that bitch out. And then we have 2 different ways to handle how we handle the hash data afterwards, or in this case, the seed data afterwards, to ensure that we continue a pure random output, where we're never looking at a seed that has some amount of non-randomness to it or some non-true randomness to it. It's always true random through the system. And then after we get everything we need to do, we cut out all of our things, we look at this thing, we pull out fake epoch values out of this purely true random string of ones and zeros. Well, in this case, it's ones, zeros, and twos. Okay? We pull all these things out, and then we do it again with these. Now we're completely detached from the actual anything that we use in the beginning, including if we use a solar panel or if we just use randomly grabbing epochs from across the globe at one point in time. Either way works. Exactly the same. Now, I do believe the solar panel one's going to be better. So it takes all this out, does it again, gets back up to 6,000 trit again, and then it uses a very fun technique of folding to go, or XOR folding in binary, so it drops it to binary and XOR folds at the same time to 750 bytes, okay, of a master material, ensuring we have no low entropy anywhere in our material. Now that material allows us to create 16 key pairs, full public and private. And it drops it directly into a specific folder that is intended for another program that this is actually invented for. Okay? So this is robust key validating. We have a robust key validator. This means that it doesn't just look to see if the template's right, look to see if the entropy is high. It actually attempts to sign and allows a real verification operation using an official library that NIST recommends for doing this, using NIST standards for validating my master keys and all of my role keys, tolerant to white space, new lines, and other minor formatting variations. This allows you to test your build before you allow automated drop generation of PQC keys, bro. Automatic. It's automated, okay? You've done it, you run it, it's done. You run it, it's done. You run it, it's done. This could be put down to a chip. This could be done automatively. Your solar panels could automatively create keys that you can sell that are so secure you can wrap them inside themselves and sell it to someone on the public street, and everyone watching you, everyone can steal that, and they ain't got a clue how to use it. Ain't got a clue. It's that good. Now, I didn't create the PQC. I just created the system that we are using now to allow binary machines to use that PQC at will. Okay? This allows you to use almost any machine as long as it's got 2 gigabytes RAM. Now, believe it or not, under testing, you can do this in 1 gigabyte RAM. Under testing, 1 gigabyte of RAM, because we were within 0.2% of fill of 1 gigabyte of RAM. I'm really happy about that. I wish it was lower. I want to get this motherfucker down to like 16 kilobytes. But I think the actual true lowest point where you could probably maybe get this if you're using the solar panel system, 128 kilobytes of data. That's the biggest RAM chip you're going to need. Maybe a 256K so you can run 2 solar panels on one. Okay? I'm not talking a whole lot. I'm talking very little. But that expands out in this process. That expands out. The sampling expands out to nearly a gigabyte. Because the sampling is the hard part. I did that for you. Okay? And we didn't just write the code. Like, oh, no. Normally I would do this in JavaScript. I would Node.js this bitch. No. This is legit in C. Okay? This is C code. After I wrote the C code, I had 2 different AIs assist me in making sure that I didn't write bullshit C code because I haven't written C code in like 20 years. Okay? I haven't written actual C code since I was in high school. Okay? The last time I wrote C code was an automated program for my dad to be able to record what VHS tapes he was buying and purchasing, so he didn't purchase 2 VHS tapes of the same one because he accidentally bought Predator 2 twice and he got mad. So I wrote an entire program while I was in 10th grade for this man. And I think that was the last full program I wrote. Ever since then, I started doing databasing, and I did databasing for like half a decade to 8 years or so. Love databasing. It's my favorite type of stuff. Like, I like to take databases, and I like to encrypt them, and I like to make them really look fancy. It's fun. Okay, well, I did all the work for you guys. Okay, I'm only going to make this better. This is only going to get better from this point on. Okay? And we are talking some insanely fast systems. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you just how fast this really is. Okay? Just how fast this really is. Here it is. Okay? It's on the screen. I cannot see your chat right now. Let me, cause I saw the bot, so let me just show you. Done. I just created PQC, post quantum cryptographic. I can't even say it, man. I've been saying it so many times today. I can't say it. Cryptographic keys. PQC, bro. That happened so fast, right? Happened so fast. Okay. And if I pull out the file, there it is. There's the key. Now, we showed you what they looked like earlier, right? And I said, well, that's not a secure key. These are a lot more secure keys. These are actually real keys. See the difference? See the difference in size? See what I mean? When I say these are actually secure, and these have the ability to do things that people are not even fully aware of yet. So how can we verify that that works? Well, if I pull this back down, we have this other program. It's validated robust. Okay. Let's see. I don't have the run code for it. I forgot what the run code is for it. I had it up here yesterday. I completely forgot to bring it up today. You know, because accidents happen. Okay, so I got this here. So we got this. So I'm just going to go to that file, and I'm going to copy the location. I'm going to paste the location. And we're going to hit enter. Oh, look at this. All those keys are cryptographically valid. So it just basically checks that that folder or that file. It just checks that file and it says, look, yeah, I can see we're testing. I can see this one we're testing. It's able to see all the roles and it's able to verify. Awesome. So like you guys saw me do it live. I generated live post-quantum cryptographic keys live for you in a manner where you can go do it yourself. You can get it using a system that is not technically NIST approved, but it's using NIST validation to validate that it is good. So let me get to it. All right, Orange directly right now isn't able to help Bitcoin, right? But perhaps when we reuse the random epoch sampling with a more normal cryptography setup and or we use that orange zest and punch from the solar panels, right? That maybe we can in the future. So now let's be honest for a second. The ideal of common machines building quantum secure keys isn't as far off as I initially made it seem last few episodes ago. But the reality is getting these keys just to be revealed at the programming level isn't as easy or straightforward, and currently I still don't have working Sphinx environment. Only Kyber and Falcon, which I still want Sphinx. I want those role signatures. I want these 3-layer wrap systems. I want all this. Because it gives you the best modularity. But, it takes time to verify. It takes all this stuff, right? So this just allows you to use those 8 roles 3 ways in a different manner that can be related to like the 0 ring level engagement, and then the Falcon role. So Sphinx is your ring 0, and the Falcon could be your ring level 1, and then the next ones are the ring level 2, and then those combinations are ring level 3, and you can even have combinations of those to make ring level 4. I think that's as far as you can really go, though. I mean, there's probably other people smarter than me that could figure out how to take that and just be like, okay, we can create an endless number of rings if we really wanted to. So this is what Orange really taught me. Nesting can be dualistic approached. That together builds this third natural point, because nesting naturally loves triples. It's that trinary is one of my favorite value bases, so it just seemed right to me to make all this happen like this. Honestly, our concept of what quantum secure is only half-baked. But thankfully, the half-baked part is actually on good intentions, but not like LOPS intentions, but actually the people developing quantum security and cryptography, they're the ones putting in the effort with good intentions. There's a FOSS way to generate Decilium and Falcon keys via random epoch sampling with round robin with superposition text-based quantum entanglement compression for pattern recognition of the lowest epoch patterns to remove them regardless of how small or how large. For the best binary-based quantum resistance security you should be able to do even on a Raspberry Pi 3. Now, if I can get someone better than me to look at this to get better, like if you can handle RAM and memory better than me, please come look at it, because we can only make this better, right? Look at my trinary PQC key generator and help me further make the security better, so we can have basically post-quantum cryptography at home. And I'm only going to keep working on this because I'm using it for something else. And I want that to have the full power of what PQC really can offer. Alright.
Yo, did you think you know? Did you think you hold? Did you think something new? That's the goal, to see from a new degree and get the change your mind needs to find something new. Life suddenly is easy for many, but when a wall appears, sometimes up is all you see. So let 3D guide to the side, yo, where there's a door though. Just be careful on your way out, for the first step is a do-see-do. A little bit Linus with something different, it's almost like he's something else. And regardless of maybe, perhaps it was that missing piece you was needing. Maybe it was that simple message you was searching. Definitely it's just in different time for defraying a mental mind state, separating us from our own mental mind tank. Boom goes the blast of thought. Boom goes the last spark with part. Boom goes the mental mind tank. Don't your perspective hit on the way out. Don't let your directive stop you when you doubt. Don't let the dire detection stop you from being getting excited, so the photons are delighted. Don't hesitate so we can line up the hash rate. Let me surmise the time, submit the rate, and reduce the face while we mine our major bets. Crypto technology like cryptographic money, while hashing your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter, cause this was 3D changes perspectives. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a new role of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a brand new perspective. Of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return return next time for a brand new perspective.